I apologize for that. Welcome to our Commissioners Court meeting. Today is a special meeting of the Commissioners Court, the 16th day of June 2014. This is not a normal meeting time, but we had a couple of items that we wanted to take care of today and that are timely in nature. And it is just a few moments after 9 o'clock, and we've had our invocation and Pledge of Allegiance. We're going to open with item number 1, public comments and or requests for information on non-agenda items in accordance with Section 551.042 of the Texas Open Meetings Act. Does anyone wish to speak at this time? All right, we'll move on to item number 2, consider and possibly take action regarding the continued use of the Senior Meal Center by Senior Citizen Services of Texarkana. And is there anybody here from the COG today?
We're 20 minutes out, 10 minutes ago.
Oh, okay, well, tell you what, let's, who is coming, do you know? Diane's coming. Okay. Let's give Diane a few minutes to get here. Let's move on to item number 3, open bids and possibly award a contract for property and casualty insurance consultant. Last meeting, or I guess a couple of meetings ago, we had opened one bid that was from Offenhauser out of Texarkana to be our property and casualty insurance consultant, and they had provided a bid but had expected us to continue to utilize them each year at $3,000 per year over a 3-year period, which is not what we wanted. We only needed their services primarily in year 1 of the 3 years. So I recontacted them and explained what it is that we wanted, and so I am hoping that he has provided us with that bid. Do we have that bid, or do you all have that bid? Is that the one that came in by mail?
Because I gave it to you last quarter.
Okay, and we still just have this one bid, to the best of my knowledge. And this is from Offenhauser and Company in Texarkana. Okay, our bid is for an annual fee based on a 1-year term. We will execute the above specified services for an annual fee of $5,000. Any additional risk control services such as review of contracts, loss control, claims mediation, and audit review would be an extra negotiated fee at the time of the services requested. If consultation is needed in years number 2 and 3, an additional fee would be negotiated at that time. So again, we have asked them to provide for us services, and just to run down those: property, building, contents, equipment, boiler and machinery, general liability, auto liability, public official, fiduciary, employment practices liability, law enforcement liability, medical professional, crime, cyber-internet liability, and workers' compensation. We have asked them to assist in the development of specifications, to review and evaluate proposals, negotiate with vendors, and to make recommendations to Commissioners Court. The consultant will assist the county with the following lines, and I've reviewed those. It is our understanding that the county's intent is to renew or continue insurance coverage with the selected vendor for a term of 3 years. The county reserves the right to terminate the coverage at each annual renewal, and again seek proposals should such option be in the best interest of the county. So again, we're not asking for 3-year premium proposals, we're asking for 1 year, but the intent, as we have done in the past, would be to stick with that company for 3 years, assuming that we continue to be pleased with the quote that they give us each year. So we only need the services of our consultant theoretically during year 1 of that 3-year period, and so that's what I've asked him to do, rather than him expecting $3,000 each year over a 3-year period for a total of $9,000. He's giving us a 1-year price where most of the work would be done at $5,000. And this compares to, again, do you remember, was it slightly over $3,200 that Bill Preston provided for us to do these services? So there is a significant increase, and unfortunately, Mr. Preston did retire. So, what would you like to do, gentlemen?
I make a motion that there's enough brain power, Carl Johnson can look at bids from insurance companies and decide which one's the best with the help of you and the other commissioners. And I think I don't see why we need a consultant. I bought a hell of a lot more money for insurance in a company that I managed, and I looked at the bids, and people that work with me looked at them and made a decision on who to take without having a consultant. We wouldn't hire a consultant for the loop. Might have saved us that bridge thing. But, so I don't know. I don't think we need to hire an outside consultant.
All right. I personally would like a little assistance. I hate to spend $5,000 is my only feelings on this. We are at the point now where we are sending out packets for proposals from companies, so we need to make a decision on this. If we're going to utilize somebody this year, we need to make a decision pretty quick. And again, this is a fee that would be paid to someone who will be soliciting bids from companies, and there will be inherent what's the words that I'm looking for? Brokerage commissions included in the bids that we're going to receive. There may not be a brokerage commission included in the bid from Texas Association of Counties, but I imagine there would be in the others. So we have a suggestion by Commissioner Riddle. Anybody else like to add to this?
I know the reason we went to this was because we had so many different insurances, and some had a little bit more to add than what we originally asked for, but you got this, some didn't have this. To go through all that information is a lot of information. If it was just dealing with workman's comp, that might be different, but we're looking at all our insurance and letting somebody look through it. They call and ask questions, and then they come to us with a recommendation. It's, I know it's helped out, and I feel like it's saved us money through the years by doing this.
Well, let me say this. I don't have a problem with what Mr. Riddle suggested, having myself, or maybe Mr. Riddle, or maybe the judge. We can work on the bids. We can work on getting the stuff sent out. The problem that we were running into, and I don't know whether it's worth as much money as they're asking for now, is that the bids would come back in. You get 4 or 5 different bids from different insurance companies, and it was very hard for us, not being insurance people, to understand what I was comparing, or what we were comparing, to know which one was really the best bid. It's not real hard for us to come up with a list of how much coverage we want on the different buildings and all that, and put all that in bid specs and say, here's what we want. It's just that the different insurance companies bid that stuff a little differently, and it's hard to read one from the other. Now, whether it's worth $5,000 to have him come in and look at that, I don't know about that. But I don't have a problem with working on getting the information out to the companies.
I understand that, but there's a other side of that. I mean, I bet you that we'll make a mistake. You know, we might have missed something here and there. That's inherent. But I also agree that broker is going to favor some other companies and going to have the same thing. And so you're not going to get the total competitive bids that you would get when you're asked for them yourself, instead of going through an insurance company like the Open Eyes or whoever it is. That's the other side. So it's, what you say is correct. I understand what you're saying.
Well, now let me clarify what he is. It's not his job to sell us any insurance. He is completely out of making any money on any placement of coverage in the form of a brokerage commission. This is strictly a fee for him to be a 100% objective evaluator of bids that come in from other companies. So we would certainly not want somebody who's going to favor one company over another. We expect him to give us a pure, objective opinion on evaluating differences between bids that come in.
That would be good, but he's in the insurance business, right? That's an insurance agent.
I want somebody in the insurance business who's giving us advice, yes.
But he's going to be biased to the ones that he favors, and he probably can make. That's how they make a living, making commissions. So I think.
But he's not.
I know.
He's not making commissions.
I understand what you're saying, but that's not always on top of the table.
Okay. Well, what we solicited for was somebody who would be objective and would not consider any relationships into their decision. Is that going to naturally happen? I guess that's conceivable. So the question is, do you want to spend $5,000 or do you want to give it a shot this year at trying to do this ourselves? I'm certainly willing to do that. I won't profess to be anywhere close to a knowledgeable insurance person, but I'll certainly give it a try.
You've had run businesses for a long time. I'm sure you've made mistakes. I have, but I'm sure you made.
Well, I have used somebody to help me make those decisions, and I have not bought insurance on this scale. But I think we can use some common sense. I personally would prefer this year anyway to do that rather than spend $5,000. Any other comments?
You're saying you and Paul sat down and...
Mr. Riddle,
We will give it our best shot.
Okay. I make that motion that you and Carl sit down and look at it, see if we can work it out. If we can't, it comes to the point, because you're going to run into a lot of different situations. They all, if you compare apples to apples, is one thing, but these insurance companies, they don't. You can write specs all you want to, but they'll come up and they'll be different.
Okay. Commissioner Fields is making a motion, as I understand it, that we reject this proposal from Offenhauser for the 2014-15 insurance year, and county will handle evaluation of bids internally. Okay.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Hinton. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, we're going to bump back to item number 2 and welcome to our friends from ATCOG. We have former Judge Chris Brown and Diane McKinnon. I think I'll start maybe by hearing from one of y'all, kind of give us an overview of what's going on, and kind of, because most of my commissioners haven't been given a detailed explanation of the transition that we're in the midst of. You may, please, come on up. And again, Chris Brown has recently taken the place of L.D. Williamson as head man at our COG, and we welcome you today.
Well, thank you, and our apologies for coming in late. We kind of thought it was going to be more of an informal meeting and not quite in court, but no problem.
Quite all right. We took care of something else.
But actually, just in short, some very unfortunate circumstances have occurred over at Netto, and they have asked us to come in and help with the nutrition program and with transportation as well. So the nutrition program will encompass the congregate meals there at the at mill site over on
Edwards.
Yes. And then the transportation program will be a little different. We've just started working out the details on that. But I think the nutrition program, what we have, and my apologies, we have Eden here with
Senior Citizen Service.
Senior Citizen Services, and they will be stepping in and taking care of the nutrition services, which they actually did about a week and a half ago, started taking care of those services. Really, you should notice no difference. And that's the goal, that's the idea, and that's what Diane and Eden and Beverly have been working very hard to make sure that there's no real, no change in services. Actually, everything continues as it was, unless there's some things y'all identify that we need to improve, then we'll certainly make steps to improve those. But you've got your congregate meals at the center, and then the home.
What would you call it? What kind of meals?
Congregate. Those are on-site
Congregate meals.
Yes, sir. I'm sorry, I've just learned these terms within the last few weeks myself. So, yeah, where they eat on site at the meal center, and then the home delivered meals, where they're actually delivered to people who can't make it out to come to the site.
How many meals are provided each week? Is it just a lunch meal?
It is a lunch. Y'all have those numbers with you?
We can't hear y'all.
Oh,
Okay.
do y'all have the actual numbers, the actual number of meals that are delivered each week? Does anybody have those with you?
Currently, we are delivering 17 home delivered meals each day in Titus and Franklin counties. And we're providing, we're cooking out of our pantry field office right now, and we're sending 25 to 30 meals each day to the Titus County site.
Okay, and just for clarification, when you cook them and send them to the site, does that include the ones that are delivered, or are those 30 separate, and then the 17?
It's strictly for the congregate meals, the 17 are for the congregate, so it'd be 47 all.
Okay, and that's each day?
And these are just lunches,
Yes.
right? Monday through Friday, so 5 days a week, lunch meal only. At this time, roughly 30 that are eaten, even though you're preparing the food not at the Edwards facility, at least not yet. Will the plan be to eventually prepare meals at our Edwards facility?
Hopefully by mid-July, we
Okay.
might be able to set up a trained cook and have local people hired for meal delivery. That's what we're thinking.
While we're in transition, then, that's why you're preparing meals at another centralized location? Okay, okay.
And it's, too, just so y'all know, there are very rigorous standards that the Department of Aging from the state sets forth. They have to be at a certain temperature. The menus have to be approved by dietitians. So there's several standards that we have to meet. So they're meeting those by bringing those meals here, and they've always been able to run a very good program there. They've got a very good reputation. So they're still meeting all those standards by bringing them here. And the home delivered meals also have to be at a certain temperature when they're served. So those standards, we ensure that they are met when they're served.
NETO has been preparing. They've been the service company that we have contracted with. I'll use that for lack of a better term, to provide these meals, and that responsibility is being turned over to Senior Citizen Services. A little background on Senior Citizen Services, and they can give some in a moment, but they've been preparing meals, as I understand it, in other counties within our COG.
Yes,
Is that
sir.
right?
Eden, remind me of those counties, please, ma'am.
Boone, Cass, Morris are our three current ones that we just.
Bowie, Cass, and Morris. Okay, so it's not like this is a brand-new company just now getting into the meal service business. These ladies, have been preparing meals for other counties within our Council of Governments, and they are just expanding their realm to include Titus County now.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes, sir.
All right. Tell us a bit about the transportation.
Transportation program. Y'all have here in Titus County, you have what they call an on-demand system. They're the TRAX buses that you see. COG has always technically owned the buses. We have always performed the maintenance on the buses. And we run the TRAX system in those same counties as well, in Cass, Morris, and Bowie counties. So what we're going to do is come in and take the TRAX system to the remainder of the counties. The other thing y'all have that's a little bit unique just to Mount Pleasant is y'all do have a semi-fixed bus route system here. They have a designated route that the buses run within the city limits, but they can deviate a couple of blocks if somebody can't make it to the bus stop. They just have to call and set the time to do that.
The service of running the bus is distinct from the maintenance facility that's over here off of North Jefferson.
Yes and no. Yes, that we haven't been directly involved in running your bus routes here, but that maintenance facility services all of our 9 counties. So they are a part. All of your existing drivers do know the maintenance facility and know our guys that work there. Even though we've always contracted out just to run, basically to man the buses, we've always been responsible for maintenance. We've always paid 100% of the maintenance, the fuel, and then just bringing the buses in, because most of these are a grant through TxDOT is how we get the buses. So COG still has ownership. We did lend them out to Netto to contract to run those 6 counties.
So again, COG is taking back this responsibility that had once been contracted out to NETO.
That's correct, yes, sir.
The maintenance facility, has that been under the direction of NETO or under the direction of COG?
Of COG.
Okay, so that won't change.
No, sir.
All right. Do you expect the COG to continue to be the entity that manages the bus route, or will you eventually be turning that over to someone else?
No, I see us just going ahead and maintaining direct control. We've successfully run the track system in our other 3 counties, and I don't think it's going to be a change at all. Actually, we just met Saturday and hired 27 of the 29 drivers within all the counties, including everybody in Mount Pleasant. So as of this morning, we had the routes, the track system.
With essentially the same crew of drivers that
Yes,
has
sir.
been providing those
Drivers,
services?
dispatchers, yes, sir.
Okay. All right. As I understand, there is a third service that is being provided at our Edwards facility related to providing monies for utility bills?
Is it? Yes. Beverly will have to address that.
Okay.
That is still a Netto operation.
Okay.
We contracted with them just for the meals and just for the transportation. Everything else, they're still running or in the process of picking back up.
Okay. And I'll get these questions answered, but from your perspective, it's what you're asking of us is that we continue to allow you to use the Edward Street facility to provide these meals, to ultimately perhaps cook those meals and distribute those meals, and also to provide space for the management of the TRAX bus system.
Yes, sir, in general. Now, these are 2 separate things, and I know that works very well for the meals. If something were to occur on the transportation end of it, it's just an office that we use there. We can look at trying to take it back over to our maintenance facility. We do have some room there, and I'll run by there and just take a look at that while we're here today. But we can try to work something out on that side. The most important thing, though, is going to be the meals.
But it would be preferable if you could continue to operate transportation out of the Edwards facility?
It would keep things very seamless, yes, sir.
Okay. All right.
One other point that needs to be made is, NETO is going to pay the utility bills in that building.
Yeah, and we're going to get to that. Anything else that you want to, and you may think of something else, but I'm going to ask Beverly, I guess, at this time to kind of tell us what's going on there and what will continue to go on there.
All right.
Okay, thank you very much. Beverly, thanks for being here. Would you tell us what you need to still have space for?
All I need is the office that we've already had there for a long time. We just need one office.
Which office is that?
It's the one between the front, it's where the transportation dispatcher and the bus drivers are located. Then there is another office, and the back was where the food bank used to be until they moved out into their bigger facility with Titus County Cares. So it's just an office in the middle over there in the transit area.
So it is in that room where the food was stored
Right
prior
beside
to it being
Right
moved over
beside
to
it.
Titus County, right beside it?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Not that front corner big office there where the parking lot is?
No, sir.
I guess I can't even picture where that office is.
It's just an office in between those two places. Now, the place where the office where the food bank it's large, because it was big enough to hold a lot of the food and stuff, and that's where the tracks drivers meet to do their paperwork and stuff at the end of the day. But ours is an office in between those two. Mike, Scotty.
Where's the parking lot? Right out here? Here. So it's here, and this is where the food pantry was.
Food pantry, this is what it was.
What's going to go on there in that corner office right as you go in the main glass doors from the parking lot? Not off of the street where you enter the meal center, but off the parking lot closest to the water tower.
In the very front office, as you first walk in, that big office, that's where the dispatcher is, and the transit is. And they'll also, when we start paying utility bills, there'll all be some clients that'll be sitting there occasionally, but we do those by appointment, so it's not a huge crowd or anything, but
Okay. What's going to be going on where the food pantry was?
nothing.
Nothing.
No, there's nothing in there. There's a table and chairs in there, and the tracks drivers do use that. But there's nothing in there.
Okay.
It's not, that's all it's being utilized for right now, since the food bank moved out. Now, I want to say that this is not some kind of a hostile takeover type thing. This is something we work very hard on. And the main thing and the main purpose of this, for me, is that none of our seniors go without a meal. That's what we're here to talk
Right.
about. We're not, we're not arguing about anything.
Okay.
We're working this out. NETO still has the dad's home delivered meals. That is called CBA and CCAD, and we still will be delivering those into Titus County. Those are being prepared in Mount Vernon at this time, at the Franklin County Multipurpose Facility. So we are still going to be doing a different type of home delivered meals. Those are to disabled. Some of them are elderly, some of them are not, but those are to the disabled and low income. So we will still be delivering those, and we are cooking those in Mount Vernon and bringing them over and delivering them every day.
Okay. So that has no impact on our Edward Street facility?
No. And all we're asking for is that our case manager, her name is Alicia Rios, she's been with us for 5 years, have access to that office. The purpose of these programs, the reason why, I know, Mike, you know this as much as I do, we got the CDBG grants, development grants, back to make these multi-purpose so that the different types of programs could rely on each other. In other words, if there's a senior citizen that's in Miss Eden's cafeteria and someone finds out that they don't only not, they're there to get that lunch, but they're having problems. They're having to decide whether to pay their utility bill or get their medicine. That is a good way for them to make a referral then to Alicia, and Alicia can take an application and try to help them pay their utility bills. So these programs are, if they find out maybe someone comes in and talks to Alicia, a senior person, and they need their help with the utility bills, but they haven't had a way to get up there, or she finds out they haven't had a way to the doctor's office, or they haven't had a way to do things they need to do, it's Alicia's responsibility then to refer them to the COG, to their bus system. So these programs are supposed to work together. It's referral and stuff so that we can everybody benefits from all of the programs.
Previously, NETO had been paying all of the utilities in that building?
We pay the utilities and we pay the upkeep on the building. Like if the air conditioner goes out or the vent hood messes up, we had been doing all that for all the years that we've been here. Now, within the past year, I came over and we talked with Commissioner's Court, and someone has come down and painted, and we have been able to contact at the courthouse. It was Mr. White. I'm not sure who's doing that at this time, but anyway, maintenance. And they have come down and fixed our plumbing and a few things like that. That's been going on for the past year. But we've paid the utility bills, which is one reason that it has hurt NETO's nutrition program. I'm going to tell you really honestly. You're getting very little money, and that is not a rate that the COG sets. That is a rate that is set by the state for an aging mill. And it is very hard when you pay big utility bills and you figure in all the cost of all of this. It's very hard to prepare those mills. I mean, we're not supposed to make money. We're nonprofits. But you can't continuously lose money on these programs either, because it will affect your entire agency. So it was difficult. I'm telling you the truth.
Do you have any idea what the monthly utilities there
They're
ran?
high. The electric bill runs around $400 or $500 a month, maybe more in the summertime, but we were cooking on site, and you know how that heats up. That commercial range and all that really heated up everything. And if Eden's going to be able to bring them in from Dangerfield, that should make the utility bill, electric bill in the summertime go down some.
Well, until they start repairing mills here, if and when they do that. Gas, there's gas there. Any
Yes, there
idea
is.
what the gas bill
It's
would run?
about $200 something a month.
$200.
It's commercial stove, 6 burners, 2 ovens. It's high.
Even in the summertime when you're not running any heat with gas, would it be that much?
I don't know. I'd have to go back and check.
Okay. Water
I
bill?
mean, we can get you some exact amounts. I'm not sure about the water bill. I'll tell you, I'm not exactly sure about that. And then you have, they have to come and clean out the grease traps. And then you have inspections that has to be done, and that's all maintenance.
Coming to clean the grease trap, that was a service that you all hired out? Okay. And then what are these inspections you're referring to?
Fire inspections and health inspections to make sure that the building is where it needs to be.
Okay.
As far as venting and sprinkler systems, all that kind of stuff. That's a requirement.
What about vent-a-hood cleaning? How often was that done?
We do that about once a year.
Okay. Any idea what that costs?
No, sir, I don't.
Okay.
I didn't bring that stuff, but I can get that to you.
Currently, you're going to need access to that center office. And Fred, I'll get to you in just a second. Access to that center office, and you'll access that from the parking lot doors, is that right? But you'll also need access to the restrooms that are going to be in the area that's operated by
Where the
Senior
kitchen
Citizen
is.
Services. Okay. All right. Anything else? All right, thank you very much. Fred, do you have a question?
You know, they contact y'all with any talkings through American Electric Power Company, SWEPCO down here. I think that y'all, under the circumstance, nonprofit, you should get some relief on the electric bill. I'm pretty sure that if I have to call to them, that he can try to speed you along.
That'd be great. That would be appreciated.
I think that that's one of the keys. Anytime that you have people out here in need, they're pretty much helpful if it's nonprofit and all private.
Okay. Yeah, if you would mention that to Kenny, and I'll follow up with a phone call to Kenny. All right, Danny?
You already have contractors over some heating air conditioning company here in town, who kind of work with it, so
Well, we're in the midst of renegotiating that right now.
that could be included in that building up there. It's a county-owned building. They can take over the heating and air conditioning, and the cleaning of the vent-a-hood is something they can do. They can take those filters out, they're outside, clean them out. The same company that you hire to do that. And that $200 gas bill only also could include, if those are gas furnaces. I don't know, if you may know. Heating units, furnaces.
I think it is, but I'm not sure.
Not only the stove that she's talking about, those are furnaces with gas too. So, you know, the county could incorporate that pretty easily.
Okay. All right. Who would like to speak from Senior Citizen Services? Come on up.
I'm
Good.
Dean Leach. I've been Executive Director of Senior Citizen Services for 16 years. We were a very nice, sweet organization, started in 1964 by the Episcopalian Church in Texarkana. We serviced Bowie County for many, many years. We have, as we're doing with Dangerfield to cook for Mount Pleasant right now, we've always done that in Bowie County. We are situated in Texarkana proper, but we send food to New Boston, and one time we sent them to DeKalb. So we're very good at getting the food there at the appropriate temperature, where it's still as tasty as can be. In 1993, we acquired Cass County, and then we got Morris County. We weren't looking to expand. We have been asked by our Texas Council of Governments to take these programs. So that's how we end up here with Franklin and Titus County.
Okay.
And like I said, we've been doing this a very long time, and as Beverly was saying, when we have to pay utilities, our congregate meal program is a continual losing proposition. We can't afford to pay all the utilities on this building. We'd be more than happy to pay a quarter of them, because our services and our other congregate sites are from 10 to 2, or from 9 to 1, depending on what the populations in those communities desire. If we start cooking there, say in late July, the most we would be at this facility would be 6 hours. So we're looking to work some way with the county to either share in utilities or just be there because you love us. So that's what we are. Anything else you
Okay.
want to ask me?
Tell me what you're asking of the county then, in total.
We would like to have we would like to provide this service at the North Edwards location as cheaply as possible, so we can put our funds into providing a better product and hiring people that will provide activities at this site, such as health and exercise, armchair aerobics. We have no volunteers. We pay our drivers because we deal with such rural counties. You can't expect somebody to put 100 miles on their car a day for free. We reimburse at 40 cents per mile. We pay minimum wage. Right now, we're just doing what we call 3C programs, which are the congregate and the home delivery programs. Probably come October, we will share, like we do in the other counties, with another agency, the Title 20 and CBAs that Beverly was talking about. But as of right now, we just would like to be in there as cheaply as possible and to be able to lock up our goods, because I realize this is a county building and y'all probably have other uses for it after our congregate stint is done for the day. No? No, you're not going to play anything with it?
We don't rent it out or anything like that anymore.
You don't use it to have people have parties there or anything?
I think at one time they might have.
We did.
And for those of you that don't know, Commissioner Riddle, that this building, there's no rent charged on that building to any of these different entities. So it is,
Concerned about the utilities.
okay.
I don't see anything wrong with letting them have it. And that's-
In other words, let them continue to use
Yeah.
it without any rent factor.
Right.
What do you think about utilities?
I don't know. We could help. I think we probably should set a certain amount that we would pay, give them an incentive to try to save on the utilities.
Thank you.
For they would have a portion of the utilities.
We're very clean.
Well, if we set a fixed price on utilities, I don't know that there would be any incentive there. We would probably need to, figure out some way to make those thermostats efficient, maybe put timer thermostats where they're only coming on during the hours of the day where you need them on. Do you need telephone service there?
We'll put the telephone in. Our agency will bear the cost of that.
Okay, you'll handle the telephone monthly cost, all right? Perhaps we can get a better idea of what the total annual utilities are. Beverly's given us a guess, but it might be nice to know what that total is. Okay, guys at the back, I'm going to ask you to come up if you want to speak, or we'll hand you a microphone. I just want to be sure we get this recorded on our audio and video. If you want, if Danny, if you'd like to talk, we'll pass you back a microphone. I need to have a microphone in your hand. And we may have another question for you in here in just a second. Okay.
I just want to follow up on what Fred had to say a minute ago about SWEPCO, contacting them for a lower rate. Also to me, it was Arkler Gas, it always will be. I don't know the name of the gas company. But contact them also to see about a senior rate for gas companies too. That would help them reduce the rates.
Be a senior rate,
Non-profit.
And we can certainly do that. And then, of course, there'll be a water bill as well. Water, gas, and electric and phone is all that I was aware of. Is there any internet service there? Anybody know? Okay.
We don't.
Okay. All right. Any problem with sharing restroom space with these other entities and giving them access to your side of the building?
So, I mean, we're all adults. That's,
The time. Give me an idea of what time you will arrive and what time you'll leave.
Okay, we're not cooking right now.
Right.
So we're getting there at 10. We're serving the food at 11:30 to 12:30. And then we're staying until 2. And that gives, we have to have the home delivered meals delivered before 1:30. So that gives our time for our drivers to come in, any activities that the participants want to do. Of course, we're new here, so we don't know what kind of activities are going to be wanted, but we'll do our best to provide. But right now, we're there 10 to 2. And when we start cooking, it would probably be 6 to 2.
6 to 2, okay. Transportation operation time frame, any idea?
Yeah, they start at 7. They generally end around 2:30-ish, 3 o'clock sometimes. Y'all got me in a little bit of handicap.
all right.
My apologies. It's
That's all right.
my transportation director had a doctor's appointment today.
Beverly, you might have a better idea. What,
Okay.
7 to 5?
Most of the drivers are there throughout the day. They kind of run various shifts.
When you were cooking, Beverly, about what was the time frame?
When we were cooking, we were there at 6.
6 to 2, reasonable, okay.
Now, let me say one more thing.
Just so you'll, thank you. We contacted everyone about this nonprofit rate. We're not true nonprofit because we receive state and federal funding. When you receive state funding, see, when you are reimbursed for a unit rate by the state, you're not just, we are a private nonprofit, but we receive state funds. And that makes you, it's that state fund that you receive that knocks you out of that discount. Sorry, but we'd already tried that years ago, so I wanted you to know.
Is that going to be the same situation?
They call it double dipping. We cannot purchase USDA food because we receive state funds.
Okay.
It's double dipping.
Yeah.
How they term it.
Well, it won't hurt to ask. We'll still go ahead and ask. I appreciate your suggestions, and we may be told no.
We'll let you know.
All right.
They may consider it different with the utilities, depending on whose name they go into, so that may help out.
All right. What about any contribution to utilities by COG for the space that'll be used there?
We haven't looked at the utility rates or anything like that yet. That's something we'll definitely work on and look at with you.
Okay.
No problem. I do want to just kind of reemphasize what Beverly said. They have worked very hard, all 3 groups here have worked very hard to make sure that the meals continue, that there's no interruption in meals and transportation as well. So I do have to give kudos to all these groups. We have been able to make it smooth, so hopefully anybody receiving services really doesn't notice much of a change at all. So I just want to say thank you to all the groups that have been working on making that happen. I do want to bring up just some potential complications that could happen later, just with the sharing of the restrooms and just the way that building's configured. With 3 different groups in there, I would think under Eden's, if she starts serving food there, she's going to have food that's on the facility. My group, anybody working for anybody else, or even part of that group, could have access to go in there and take food at their own leisure. if they're not there actually preparing the meals. And since the building's going to be open when they're not there, we might look at something when they actually do start cooking there that helps secure their food and secure their equipment, so that it can't be accessed by anybody else. Just, if you just take, when it was all controlled by Netto, no, that's kind of something they could control pretty easily. But I sure would hate for any of my guys to just be walking in there and grabbing food without their knowledge. So,
Is there a way to do that, Beverly?
looking at it, it might require some. There are 2 doors that enter the kitchen area, but there's not a roll-down door that can be secured in the serving line. If we found some way to secure that, I think you could secure the kitchen without anybody else being allowed to access that. Now, there's a back door to the kitchen. I'm not real sure about exits, things like that. That's the only way I could see where at least the kitchen area could be secured, or of those 2 offices there, possibly one of those, depending on what y'all needed them for. So one way or another, I think we could find it. It would just take a little bit of work.
Your thoughts on that?
When we start cooking there, we will be storing a lot of what we call raw food. But it's essentially freezer space, dry goods, toilet paper, paper towels, all that. They can walk off. They have legs after we leave. And we were just looking for a place to put a padlock. I know there's a pantry there. You look more closely. There's a pantry. If we could put a padlock on that or something like that, just to secure it. That's all we're looking at. Because when we cook, when we're through cooking and we're packed out, we fed, and our drivers will come home, we clean up, we pack up. We don't leave food sitting around ever.
Do you have cold food in the refrigerator that you leave?
We would have overrun of milk, maybe, but according to who we get our money from, any food left over, we have to throw away.
Okay.
Yeah, that's another thing. It had issues with its temperatures. They were running at 40 degrees. At 40, we needed.
Who owns that cooler? Anybody know?
We do.
Okay. All right, more complicated than it initially seems.
Well, we're serving food there now very successfully, but if we start cooking, there would be issues arising from just the age of the machinery there.
Okay, is there a freezer?
Big walk-in.
It's about 2 entries.
Okay, it's the walk-in unit. There's not a freestanding 2-door refrigerator? Okay. Walk-in, which combination walk-in cooler freezer? Freezer at the back and the cooler at the front? Okay. All right.
But that's not a big problem right now. Like I said, we're satelliting out Dangerfield, so we can keep that up quite a while.
When are y'all anticipating to set up the cooking operation?
We'd
here?
like to have it by mid-July. It does not have to happen then, We're not people that are pushing for this. We can, when it gets ready, we can cook. We can find a cook that we want to hire, because there's so many regulations that we have to, that we're under, and so many licenses and things that the person will have to get. So, like I said, it's not anything we're just going, oh my gosh, we've got to start cooking right now.
Right. Beverly, how many meals were you serving? Does that number sound about right? Okay. About 30 in-house and 17 delivered?
Yeah, it fluctuates.
Okay. Does it tend to be the same people each day? Okay.
We do have some people, because we work all of our organizations in each county, we all work together, community organizations, so we work pretty close with Titus County Cares and some of the other nonprofits around here. We do have some people that are sent to the Meal Center to eat occasionally. They're homeless. They're not actually our clients, but we've always worked with Titus County Cares to let them be there.
All right.
Because that's something that the building belongs to the county, and that's a county, resource building for different groups, and so we have done that in the past. So that's what we.
Okay. Where's our microphone?
big enough mouth, everybody could hear me.
Well, maybe you're here, maybe we can hear you.
Okay.
Oh, gosh, the other question I was going to ask you. Who is eligible to receive these meals or to come and eat there?
60 plus.
Anyone? Are there any qualifications there?
No.
When I hit 60, I can start eating there?
Yes.
You have to fill out a form. We're dead on paperwork,
What does that form ask of me?
everything, how well you get around, you know. what
Well, can I be
you feel
turned,
about
can I be turned down for a meal?
No.
Not if you're 60. And if you marry a 25-year-old, you're a big
They're asking
benefit.
donate for a meal, unless you meet certain qualifications.
Well, no.
Liquor meals are completely different.
Yeah, but you can
On congregate, no.
65 or whatever, it used to be all that.
No, it's 60 plus, and it's a donation only. Whatever you want to give.
What I want y'all to tell mine.
Yeah.
Is this something that we want to advertise and expand the number, or we have a limited number of dollars?
No, we're not doing the soup kitchen. Anybody that eats our meal will fill out the intake if they're over 60. If they're not over 60, they're going to pay us $5.50 for the meal.
Okay. But is the funds that you receive based on how many people you feed? Well, if 100 people start showing up instead of 30, do you have a limited number of dollars that you have to prepare those same meals?
With the Architects Council of Governments, we do what's called rate negotiation once a year. And at that time, we decide the rate that's going to be reimbursed for each meal and how many units are going to be served. And you
Okay.
take that yearly unit rate or unit amount and divide it up and see how many people you can serve per month that you're going to get paid for. But since we accept donations, which we call program income, we also have to make a 10% match for these funds. So some of that program income goes right back into the program and purchases extra meals. We are also a United Way agency, and we use those funds to purchase meals and to make a 10% match.
So if the numbers increase, you will receive some additional revenue, either from donations from the user or from the COG. We'll pay you
Right.
more based on a higher head count.
Right, because I might have another site that's not using as many units, so those units would be covered.
Okay.
So it's a notion. Wednesdays might be the day, and then Tuesdays and Thursdays, you might not have half as many people. It depends on what's happening at the site and the community.
Yeah, Judge, and two, just, it's kind of a fluid thing. If we were to all of a sudden increase by 200 meals a day, we wouldn't have the money to cover it. So basically, we get from the state about how much money they get together and figure out, okay, it's this many meals. When we have some more money come in, Diane will call the entities and say, hey, can y'all do some more meals? If they say yes, then they've got the money. So a gradual increase, yes, we love it. That works out well. For a sudden hit of another even 100 people walking in, it would be very, very taxing on the system.
We don't want to run ads yet.
No,
Okay.
We
Well, I'm
wanna-
serious. It's not
Yeah.
something we really want to promote because we do have limited resources either at the COG level or at the state level.
Yes, sir, the state does not respond that quickly. Now, if we can ease it up, then the state does respond, year after year, but it's just one of those things. It will not, they don't allow us to keep money in the bank for that type of thing. They're watching those dollars, as y'all can attest to very closely, so.
Who provides janitorial services in this facility, Beverly, or who has? You did. In other words, you would mop the floors, clean the tables, clean the bathrooms.
And once about every 6 months, you need to have the floor stripped, and the wax and stuff, you need to have them cleaned. But we clean them ourselves before we left every day.
You just keep piling it on. Wow.
Well,
I mean, you're right. There's a
seen
lot
me
of
here
things that you took care of that are up in the air. That's what I want the commissioners to understand. This is a
we did.
4,000
And
square foot building.
We also took care of the yard work. We had a bus driver that would mow the yard. We paid him to mow the yard in the afternoons when it needed it. Not very much money either. Like $60, I think, we paid him to bring his riding lawnmower up there and mow it. So we tried to keep the facility up in good shape. the best that we could.
Okay, I'm going to try to run over the things that we need to be thinking about here. We've got rent of the building, we've got electricity, we've got gas, we've got water, we've got janitorial, we've got repair and maintenance, we've got floors to be stripped.
We come with liability insurance while we're there.
Say that again, you do have liability insurance you pay for, okay. Floor stripped, we need to have the AC serviced, we need to have the vent-a-hood cleaned, we need to have the yard mowed. You think of anything else I'm leaving off, Beverly? Fred, you think of anything else?
Is it completely handicapped because some of those people will have maybe wheelchairs and stuff? I know that's piling even more on you, but a lot of mine is not just the males, but these older people, that gives them a chance to sit
Sure.
with other older.
Sure does. It is accessible, ADA accessible? Okay, all right. And the insurance is provided, do we provide the insurance on the building? Yes.
And it is handicap accessible.
Insurance on the building and then liability insurance that you carry. I'm sure we carry some liability insurance on it, but you carry your own. All right. Thanks. Okay, Commissioners, here's the decisions you've got to make is how do you want to, who's going to pay for all this?
Well, we're looking at that y'all take care of the phone bills, right? And you're saying you pay 25% of the bills?
25%? Well, they're 4 hours. Y'all are open till.
Well, that'd be kind of hard to decide because there's different agencies in there.
Well, first of all, I need to do is see what the electricity bill ran for the last 12 months, the gas bill, the water bill, so that we get a better idea. Okay, good. Yeah, that'd be an easy way to get it. Okay. Yeah, if you would do that on those 3 items.
In the meantime, we need to go ahead and get the person that you have over there dealing with the emergency or energy and assistance programs. Who has the key where that person can get in?
Well, we changed the locks on the senior meal center. We left the locks on the door between the 2 sides of the building. We also left the lock alone on which door? Anybody know what locks were changed? Y'all didn't have any locks changed.
We haven't done anything, Judge.
Eden, did y'all change any locks?
I got an email that said that our case manager would be able to get into our office every Friday.
Yeah, Diane, did we change any locks?
No, sir.
Okay.
It was too, but we decided after we set up this meeting to be here today that we would wait until after.
Okay,
the visit.
all right, so we haven't changed any locks. Immediate needs, we've got to get a walk-in cooler and freezer serviced perhaps.
And Judge, in looking back on that, there was a problem with that when we had done can you hear me?
Yes.
About a year ago, we had monitored this facility, and the same problem was there. And we looked back on some of the billing, and Beverly actually had someone come out, and they added Freon to it. And that took care of it for a little while, but obviously it's back to where it was. Yeah, the cooler that was only showing.
How long has it been since that was serviced, a year or more?
Yeah, Wide
Maybe,
added.
okay.
So it may just be one of those things, we have to do it once a year.
Okay.
We built that building, Mike, when was the building built? It's been there for a while now.
Built it in 5, didn't we?
When?
95, huh?
Around 95 sometime.
90, somewhere around 94, 95, somewhere right in
Okay. So I'm sure some of that equipment needs, a good look at it, is what I'm saying, because it was built with the equipment there, with the commercial stove. That stove goes with the facility, and the cooler and the freezer. So we're just kind of been doing, keeping it up type, but I'm sure it needs a good look at and see if there's some problems with it, because it's
What
been,
other equipment is there? You've got a
it's
stove
the same
and an
equipment
oven.
that's been there.
There's a hot box in there, it looked like. Do you use that? Is it working all right?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
We replaced
Now that
the
belong,
stove.
that,
The vent hood, redone the
Replaced the
vent hood.
stove too at one point, sometime.
and it's an ice maker. Now, the ice maker is a lease, but we don't need it, so we'll talk to Eden about that. And the hot box, the convection oven, we had brought over to Mount Pleasant when the Mount Vernon facility burned. It belongs to NETO. I don't know anywhere that we need it, because we're only going to be operating one site from now on, and that's in Franklin County. So as far as we're concerned, we'll leave it there unless, if Eden wants it, whatever you
And
want.
what piece of equipment are you referring to there?
The convection
The
oven.
convection oven, okay.
Yeah. We brought it to, when the Mount Vernon facility, we cooked for everything in Mount Pleasant. So we moved it over here to Mount Pleasant, but we don't have a need for it anyplace else, so
Okay.
they might can use it for something.
You had mentioned something to Commissioner Fields about needing to get in there and get some other things.
No, it's all piled in the case manager's office.
So you still need to get in there and get something out?
Yeah,
Okay.
but if we have a key where we can get in, that's all that matters.
It sounds like your key still works.
That's
You still
fine.
have keys?
That's
Okay.
fine. As far as I know, I haven't been over there.
Ms. Naramore, did you want to say anything about anything that you're looking for that you can't find?
Well, I just want to make sure that we have access to the building all the time. I don't think I need this, I think I can talk loud enough, but anyway.
Well, we're just trying to get it recorded for our audio and video.
Okay, well, I just want to make sure that we have access to the building, and I would like for the county to pay our own utility bills. And each year, if you look back on the records, and Carl knows this, each year, this county has given NETO of $7,000. I don't know what that helped pay, but now then, I think it's Friday was a week ago, somebody from NETO came to our building and took the coffee maker and the tea containers and all the dishes and all the silverware.
Okay. Two things there. If you pass the mic back to Beverly, did you receive any monetary, did you receive a check from the county?
No.
Okay.
There was a time, I don't know, Phil and Michael have to help me, but there was a time that we were put in the budget, but then we never did get any money from. Am I correct, Phil?
Carl knows about that because he made me a copy of it one time.
But we didn't get we were put in the budget. I don't think maybe it'd been year before last, but we never received the only thing we have ever gotten from the county is we do the Texas Feeding Texas program, and the county has matched that program. We have to have county support to do that.
How much was that match?
I think it's around $1,200. It matches the
Is that every year?
It changes from year to year, but yeah. We've been doing that that program about 3 years. But we actually invoice, you do a, I can't think of the name of the form, but you bring that up at Commissioner's Court, and I come over here usually when we do Texas Feeding Texans, and then I invoice the county clerk for that when the program, if we are accepted, and you pay that by an invoice to NETO.
All right.
But that doesn't go towards utilities or anything. That goes toward feeding the ones on the Texas Feeding Texas program.
Christy, are you aware of us sending them any money? Okay.
Okay. We were put in the budget. I remember being told
hang on to that for a second. As far as the items that Ms. Naramore is referring to being removed, any comment on that?
Yes, we did pick up the coffee urn and the stuff that we had actually purchased and put there, us.
Okay.
But we didn't take everything.
Okay.
We had a bunch of canned food and stuff that was in the way. We actually took some of it by the food pantry and in Franklin County.
Okay.
Okay?
All right. What else do you need to know to make a decision here? Let's just look at it one step at
And
a time.
please get back to me on the county allocation to NETO, because I'm not aware of it, but let me know if you find something that you sent that way, or...
In other words, if we have sent you money for anything other than what you had referred to,
Yes,
that match? Okay. All right. Are we in agreement that we're going to still not charge rent to any of these entities?
I am.
All right. What do you need to know in order to make a decision on utilities? Would you like to see a list of all utilities over the last year?
I think we need to look at that.
Okay.
Judge, just if I could, one more thing to point out. Anything that y'all do pay on behalf of what can be used for that building will be considered as match money too. And that's very important in these programs, because what that shows is community support for those programs. So the state looks at that, they expect it to have that match money. So we don't always have to have cash out of pocket to match it. I think similar to a lot of what y'all do as far as using your crews and equipment for match money on any road grants and things that you have, we can also use that as match money as well.
All right. Okay, what about some of these things like utilities? It'll be fairly easy to list those out. We'll look at a year's worth of electricity, gas, and water. Janitorial, Eden, are y'all prepared to clean your own area?
We take care of our own area.
Okay.
The restrooms are lines like that, if all agencies do it.
Will COG and NITO clean your areas as well? Okay. The items that'll...
I've experienced the site manager does it.
The site manager? Okay, well, we're going to have 3 different entities now. It's no longer going to be one entity where I can pick up the phone and call Beverly and tell her to take care of the cleanup. Now we've got 3 different entities in there. So I don't know that there is going to be a site manager per se. Some of the things that'll be less frequent than monthly utilities, but nonetheless worthy of consideration: an ice maker lease, air conditioning service, hood cleaning, yard mowing, stripping the floors.
Yard mowing ought to be easy. We can just add that to our maintenance.
What we got?
Lawn care here.
Okay. And we're getting ready to rebid those, so we can add that on there.
Yeah.
Could we add the rest of it too? As far as the AC units and stuff like that?
Is there any, I'm sorry, is there any question about if the state inspector or the feds come by and inspect, who will they come to? The county or you? Or who, with a complaint or something that needs to be done?
The health inspections.
Huh?
The health inspections.
Yeah.
That'll be related to food preparation, so I'm assuming they'll be coming to you.
Exactly, that.
Okay.
Fire department should come by and check out anything we have to do with our food prep, we'll take care of it.
Okay. That should be really the only substantial inspection I'm aware of. It's a fire inspection and health inspection. Okay, Ms. Naramore, let Fred there behind you speak. He had a question first.
Yeah, on any of these certificates for state or whatever, where they have the beds maybe certified in order to get by each of
Again, the only inspection that I'm aware of,
They have to be certified certificates every year or something, don't they? In order to be able to operate these.
well, that's a local health issue. That's a local City of Mount Pleasant issue, and they'll be responsible for that. And same with fire, that'll be a city inspection. Mr. Moore?
Well, I do know that everything that has broken at the mill center need to be anything repaired or anything. I have personally called Mike Fields, and he got it done. When Don Boggs was here, and out of his budget, he painted all the walls and redid the ceiling of the building and cleaned the vent. The exit lights were not working, and Mike got that done. The glass thing that goes over where the meals are served, Mike had that done. So the county has done a lot of things that I've asked them personally to do. And one of them is repair the ice maker, and the other one is I bought a new air conditioner.
One of the big air conditioning units?
Huh?
One of the big air conditioning units, is that what
Yeah.
you mean? There's 3 AC units there, it looks like to me.
Pardon me?
There's 3 large commercial air conditioning units there. Are you talking about replacing one of those?
Yes, one that goes to the kitchen area.
Okay. When did we do that? Anybody know? Mike, you know? That would have been a several $1,000 fix.
You remember, Mike?
No.
Well,
So I'm just
it was.
drawing a blank right now.
And
I don't remember one of the stuff.
the exit lights did not work. We got that done. A lot of times, sometimes the commode on one of the booths in the bathroom, the door wouldn't lock and unlock, so
We'll probably continue to do that. The things that I'm going to address, that I'm going to ask you for, either at this meeting or at the next meeting, will be to decide how much we're going to charge these entities for utilities, repair and maintenance, if any. Fred?
Yeah, look like we've got our on-site inspector right there sitting next to you.
He's pretty good.
All 3 of them could touch back with him.
He's pretty good.
He's already getting paid anyway.
Well, over and above that, we still got a lot of basic things that we're gonna cover.
That could be.
And I'm sure these guys will continue to provide those services. Okay, I will have you, all right, last comment.
This is for Commissioner Fields. In all these inspections, when is the last time you had a natural gas and plumbing inspection on the natural gas for leaks in the building? And is it an annual thing that needs to be done?
Now, that I do not know. I'd have to talk to the gas company.
Is the gas currently off?
Every year.
You know what I'm...
The gas got cut off the other day, and we have asked for it to be turned back on, so I'm sure they'll have to inspect it at that time.
Okay, for leaks, yeah.
Beverly made the statement that it's done every year by the gas company.
Okay.
Do that on the furnaces, or they do it on plumbing inspection covers the natural gas? Well, that plumber is the one that certifies whether it's safe or it's not. It's not, the gas company can turn it back on, but he has to have a plumbing inspection. Yeah, it has to be a permit issued for that.
We'll take a look at that. All right, Beverly, if you would, get me a annual 12 months of gas, water, electricity. I'll provide that for you in your offices so that we can take a vote on these other items next Monday at our evening meeting. Anything else on this?
We need to go ahead and...
If you'd like to make a motion, I mean, I'll entertain a motion now, or we can wait until we have answers on these utilities.
Well, I think we need to have answers on the utilities. What I'm looking at, we need to go ahead and give them the okay to use that building until we get this done.
Because they are temporarily in there at this time, so go ahead.
Okay, I'll make that in.
All right, Commissioner Fields makes a motion to allow Senior Citizen Services to continue operating as normal in there in the absence of a more formal agreement that we will address next Monday. Ms. Naramore?
Well, I just want to know about access to the building, because it's called a multi-service building, So, like, we have people, men that want to play dominoes, they do that. On every Friday, we play bingo.
In what area does that go on? In the meal serving area?
Yes,
And this would be after hours that our senior citizen services will be in there, which is 10 to 2 roughly?
yes. Well, no, the bingo is 9 o'clock in the morning. And so...
Well, you're telling me something I don't know anything about.
Okay. At one time, we were renting out the center, and for a price to people who wanted to have a birthday party or a wedding anniversary or whatever. And the county did stop doing that. So I just want to know what activities we do, and if we do anything, do we have to come back to the county to get permission to do that?
I think the center was set up for, as Fred was talking about, set up where the senior citizen could come, have companionship, see each other, be active, do things. We have it set up where whatever time the building is open up for the public, they can come in there and play dominoes, they can play cards.
But the building's only open from 10 to 2.
I'm sorry?
The building is open from 10 to 2 now.
Okay.
Well, that's the hours that senior citizen services will be there for meal-related activity. Are we going to open it up for hours beyond that?
I don't see why we couldn't go back and do what we did as soon as they start preparing the meals here. Right now, they're preparing the meals somewhere else. We're looking at July, and some one opening back up.
Well, then it would be 6 to 2. Right now, it's 10 to 2. She's asking for access. It sounds like after 2 o'clock, or would that morning time, 6 to 2?
Talking about before.
Okay.
At one time, when we had an AARPC branch here, we met up there like one day out of the month, and like we met at 4 o'clock. And we brought our food, or we ordered it down to come in, and we played different kinds of games and stuff. And they'd be there like from 4 to maybe 6 or 7 o'clock. Now, I want to know now, who do we get permission from if we wanted to do that?
That's what the building's for AARP to come in and use also.
But if it closes at 2,
And who would have access to that? We just give out a bunch of keys to a bunch of people? That doesn't sound
well, that's what
right
I'm
to me.
asking you. Who would we talk to about doing that?
I don't know. Fred, you had a comment? Mike, you have a comment?
Well, the only thing I would say, if you want to do something, open it for more activity for our senior citizens, find a responsible person, let them just have a key, and then if you're going to have an activity, open it up and lock it back up after you get through. That's what it's for. It's for our senior citizens to have a place to go and to basically socialize and be there for each other and help each other.
So would someone be in charge of getting a key then from the county or whoever to come and do that?
Why don't you bring to the court next Monday, or suggest something that the court would consider if you're not going to be here next Monday night, and we'll make that decision at that time. But I think we need to have a clear definition of who's going to have that key and when they would have access to that building. All right, this is going to be the final comment. Mr. Fred.
The commissioner over that area said, Mike Fields, said the center setting in or what?
It's in precinct 1.
It's in precinct 1.
It's in precinct 1.
Precinct 3.
Somebody would have to contact him. Somebody who responsible needs to be in charge. I'm like you, I don't want 500 keys out here for people.
Okay. Well, we'll consider that. If you'll, again, put something in writing for us to consider at the next meeting, I'm sure that we'll be glad to address that. Okay, I had a motion by Commissioner Fields to allow Senior Citizen Services to continue operations as well as the COG over the transportation, as well as NETO over the, what do we call that program?
Energy assistance.
Energy assistance. on a temporary basis until we finalize a more formal agreement.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Hinton. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right. Okay, anything else to come before Commissioners Court today? Thanks, everybody. I knew this was going to be something that required a lot of discussion, and we'll put this on the agenda for next Monday to make some decisions on these utilities, and Beverly, I'll look for that in the next day or so if you can. All right. Motion by Commissioner Hinton for adjournment, second by Commissioner Fields. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Thank you.